8.
Ooh, here we are, 5 minutes early.
What am I? What does that even mean?
Testing.
What does that mean? Fork plate?
Bro,
plate?
I'm literally on my live.
Fork?
Sauce? Spork? I don't know.
Hey guys, welcome to Salt Pepper Catch Up with Prentice Powell today, my little hero. Love that
5
man.
minus 2, 3.
Awesome. Pass the hot sauce.
Oh, a fork. What?
I'm on the live, bro. You guys, that was Asia. Hashtag Lizard God.
She's playing a game right now.
I'm trying to type this out. Sorry, guys. How are you guys doing? It's been a day. Also, like, happy Juneteenth.
Do you want like background music?
Background music? Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That was Summer Nights, you guys.
Hello.
Don't act.
LOL.
I don't know why Sorry. Forgot for a second.
Let's get into it. Welcome. Ooh. Okay, we're back. Ooh, 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 ooh. Fuck me. Hey, if you can hear me, let me know. Want to make sure the sound works. If you can hear me, let me know. Hey, Slangston, this would be an awesome time to let me know. If you can hear me, feel me, you good? Hi, it's good to see you as well. Actually, don't know who that is. Hi. Unless you're talking to Slangston. You were in the 6th grade when this song dropped? Slangston. Sir.
Slangston old as shit.
Oh my God. Whoa! Alright.
In a good way.
Darlene! Oh my gosh! Darlene! Oh my gosh! How are you? I didn't even know that was you. How are you? Oh, this was the jam. This was the joint. This was the Jimmy joint. That's a good slang. Good to know. Oh my gosh, Darlene! Slankson said he's only 777, yo.
Okay, I don't speak galactic.
Um,
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. Hi, Mr. K. Oh my gosh, how are you? We're waiting for Prentice to come. It would be really dope if he came.
Not you looking at the fake watch.
Hey, be ready. Slangston, if you wanna text Prentice, now would be it. Cause it is 6 o'clock and I don't really know what you want me to do. I could do a poem, psych. I don't really want to.
Wow. Okay.
He's on the way. Woo! Good to know. Yeah,
I'm just trying to make money.
Do commercials, right? Because that is a thing. So, what's up, you guys? Commercial time. Dun, 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 dun. The first thing is hashtag DewMore in the house. It is a monthly competition where students from the grades of 5th to 12th compete to get first, second, or third on a poetry competition. We post a prompt on the DewMore page, and you have about a week, 2 weeks. 2 weeks to get the prompt in, and then they vote, the poetry gods, and you have the ability to get first, second, third, or raffle, honorable mentions, something like that, and you win what? Money, moolah, cash during Corona? What? We thought that was possible. It's possible, yeah. So, Prentice is here. What's up? Request to join, and you can jump right in. That's when, what happens? Okay, cool. I'll add you right in right after these commercials. So yeah, you check the DewMore Poetry page and you click on the prompt and you just write. Why? Because it's fundamental. Prentice! What's up? Anyway, what's the next one? Slang. Now would be a really good time to tell me. Salt, pepper, ketchup. Next month. Next week with what? The Black Chakra. So you guys can jump on it again next week to see that come into fruition. The other thing is tomorrow, July 10th. Tomorrow, we have the Youth Poet Laureate finals. There will be 8 finalists. Do I know all of their names? Speak Like T, She Go, Final Destination, Black Rose, Young Elder, Kiva Flight. There's one more. No, we said her already.
Y'all got a lighter back there?
Adjoa and me. So join tomorrow to watch that because that's gonna be super dope. And
You didn't have a black one on your
that is it. I think that is it. I think that is all the commercials. Slangston, hurry up and tell me if that is it. Hello, people that are joining. Slangston, is that it? That's it, according to Slangston. So we're gonna add the poetry god to the thingamabob, and we're gonna get started. Are you guys ready? Cause I am. So we're gonna go.
Anaya!
Oh my God!
Anaya! How are you?
I'm good. How
Are you? I'm good. Today's a good day in California, so I'm good.
Dope. Happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth to you as well.
Thank you.
Are you doing anything to celebrate?
I did block party with black businesses. So that's going on. And it's super.
That's cool.
Kind of dope. So that was super fun.
That's what's up.
And then,
Did you perform?
No. I'm on a week break because I've been doing a lot of activism and stuff. But so next week I'll be out back in the streets doing the poems. But you, sir, you are just everywhere. So I get the notifications every time you post because I'm that much of a supporter. And
because you're awesome.
You're dope. So obviously that's gonna happen. But you've been doing a lot of performances and stuff. So what's up with that? How's that going?
It's going well. It's different. Just not being able to travel or go anywhere is really different. So it challenges you to find different avenues to stay creative, to stay inspired, to exchange energy. And plus it makes us better too. Practicing or performing, for me, I don't know if you feel this way, but for me, it feels weird performing in front of a camera with no audience. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've had to get more used to that. It's different with TV because at least with TV, there's still people in the room.
Right.
You know what I mean? So just like this, it's great practice. So it's been good. I'm glad people want to hear poems. So
That's dope. That's dope. Have you eaten today? Drinking water. Self-care is the first
That
step.
is an amazing question. I'm glad you are already asking those type of questions as a teenager. Yes, I have not eaten today. I
Sir.
had a smoothie. I had a smoothie though, and I'm
Okay,
gonna
well,
eat
that's
lunch.
acceptable. Next
I'm
time,
gonna eat lunch in a little bit, but you know
yeah.
I'm 3 hours behind you.
All right, cool. All right, so, super dope. I kind of want to, travel back in time if that's okay with you.
Let's do it.
I emailed you for the first time in 7th grade. And here we
And I
are. I'm
will.
going into my 12th grade year. And
That's
here
so
we
awesome.
are. And I was just talking to the teacher, and actually, the reason that I ever saw your video, I think he's still in here. Is he was my 4th grade teacher, Mr. K. Mr. K, if you're in here, I would really love for you to say what's up. He showed me your video. I think it was Black is Beautiful or Beautiful is Black.
Hmm.
And I fell in love with just the whole entire art, and it was weird for me. I never had that type of like pull. And from there, I stalked you. Went to YouTube, all the verses and flow, even down to 5ology, like everything. And I was just like, wow, that's like crazy how you can do that with words. And now here we are. You're still doing that thing with words that you do. I think it's called poeming. And here I am doing the same thing. And for me, that's what got me in love. So what was it like for you?
Okay, let me say this. Let me respond to what you said. I remember. It's gonna sound bad, but I was driving. I was driving. I had my phone in my hand. I remember that very day. I remember exactly where I was when I opened your email when you were in 7th grade. And I remember opening the email, and I think I told you this, but I remember opening the email. And because you told me you were in 7th grade and your name was Anaya, which is my daughter's name too,
Right.
I pulled over to read it, and I remember you were the very first. I never had anybody that young write me before you. So you were the youngest person to ever email me about my poetry at that point in time. So it super resonated with me. And your name was Anaya, which is my favorite name. So I had to just I'm really blessed because you're really one of my favorite people, Anaya, like for real. Like when we talk about people who support, like this is what support looks like and feels like. It's just genuine support. So know that I have not forgotten that first email. I appreciate you. Anything you need from me, I'm saying it publicly so you know. As it's been since 7th grade. If you want to write, say what's up. If you want to send a poem, I got you. Okay.
You're
Know that. Know that.
Thank you.
Okay. Now I'll answer your question.
Okay. Cool.
What was the question? My bad. What was it?
What was your moment? What was your pull? Like what caught your eye about poetry and said, I want to do this for the rest of my life?
It's really weird with me. 2 months after writing my first poem, I was on the national final stage in the National Poetry Slam in 2003.
Wow.
So yeah. So I got thrown into spoken word poetry because a cousin of mine by the name of Tyson Amir, he wrote a poem. He's like 2 years older than me. Everything he did when I was little, I would copy him.
You talked about that. Okay, I remember.
Right. So he wrote a poem. My mom took me to the Oakland open mic. She signed me up. I didn't know. I only had one poem to compete. The coach said, you should come back and be on the slam team. And I was like, well, I only have this one poem. And she said, well, you have to write a new one each week to compete. And so I did. And I made the slam team. So when we got to the final stage in Chicago, it was probably it was a couple of thousand people in the audience. And I think because we made it to finals and because I had that experience so quick and just seeing the sea of people that were listening to me, I think that's when I knew this was something I could do, but I didn't necessarily take it serious. But once I got a taste of TV, that's when I really was like, okay, I can make some money. I can change lives. I can alter a lot more people's lives than I thought I could. I can connect to more people the more work I put in. But it was a combination between being on stage in finals and getting on television for the first
time. Yeah, definitely. Sorry about that. Ooh, my phone's dying, and I did not prepare for that. So, my next question is, wow, because that's a lot to work with. So, Jesus, getting thrown on the slam like your first day, that sounds like terrifying. What was that like for you? What was that feeling?
It was great. I did forensic speech and debate in high school.
Oh, me too.
Did you?
Yeah, I'm on the speech and debate team.
Are you really?
Yeah, I
Did you have,
started out in policy, and then I moved to the speech side, and I started doing like Congress, duo, and now
so I did duo.
Yeah.
I did duo, DI, and HR.
Yeah, and
So
then I started doing prose and poetry a little bit too.
did you?
Yeah.
That's so tight. That's so tight. And yeah, I did forensic speech and debate. So I did duo, and I had a lot of really good success doing that. So I already was used to being on stage and memorizing scripts, like 10-minute scripts.
Mm-hmm.
So like a 3-minute poem is easy to me because I was used to memorizing 10-minute scripts. You know what I mean?
Bro. Yeah. That sounds about right. That's why I decided to do it, because I knew it was the reverse for me, because I did poetry first, and so I was like, okay, I know I can memorize, and I did theater for a while, so this should be easy. And so that's when I was like, okay, yeah, speech is sort of cool. That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. Oh, let's dive into your duo days. How was that?
That was dope. I won nationals every year. I won state every year with my partner. It wasn't just me.
Right.
We never lost. Like, honestly, we never lost in high school. We didn't. So it was wonderful. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's kind of dope to be on that the top of the world like that. To never.
It was fresh. It was dope. It was a cool experience.
Yeah. So tell me about your first loss.
Oh, in poetry?
In poetry. Have you ever had to lose?
Yeah. You know my hardest loss?
Yeah.
And it was the most humbling. My hardest loss was we were in the semifinals in 2012 in Charlotte. That was the last time I slammed.
Okay.
And we tied with Killeen, Texas in the semifinals to make it to the final stage. And to do a tiebreaker, you got to choose one poet. So they chose their poet, and then I got picked for our team.
Okay.
And I went up, and I could have swore I killed that poem. And then the woman went up and she did her poem, and it wasn't even based on scores. It was a color, like red or blue. And so they just asked you to put your color up. I think I was like red. And so everybody put up blue. And we didn't make it to the finals. And they had called me to do it. So I remember going outside and sitting on the sidewalk because I felt like I disappointed everybody. And then I think I practiced for like at least an hour and a half in the street, like right after. I didn't go back to the hotel. I just practiced. And I think that was the hardest for me because we were so close and everybody was relying on me to get us there. Mm-hmm. But, everybody loses. So I wasn't, bent out of shape or bitter, but it was hard.
Yeah, that sounds, that's the way, it's like a weight of the world on your shoulders type feeling, to have people depend on you like that. And I definitely understand that. Wow. So how are you in the slam world now? I've been looking for I would go and I would see like Southern Fried and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't see Chris around.
Yeah, I don't really do slam. It's not my format. Like, it served its purpose for me. I think every poet should do it. I think every poet should do slam. It gives you variety. It gives you a competitive spirit. It shows you the variety. It shows you all of that. And that's where I got started. So I always have love for slam. But for me, it became too much of like a bubble, the slam community of poetry. And I realized quick, I did not, I never felt like I fit into the poetry community, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like, the slam poetry community. It just wasn't really my lane once I got a real good feel for it and was able to do a couple of things. It served its purpose, and then I just felt like it was time for me to move on. So I don't really compete because I don't really enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I enjoy doing slam. Like, I don't want to write for strangers to tell me my poem is worth a 9 or a 3. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't want to do that anymore.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. I wrote a poem recently, just about how I can't separate myself and my poetry self. I'm having a real hard time separating those two selves. And
lately,
the poem, yeah, it was just like, I can't. What's the point of a poem if it won't win me tens or pins? And I'm really trying to find out if it's possible for me to separate myself from my poetry self. And what does that look like for you? Are you able to do that? Do you want to do that? Or what does that look like?
Okay, I got a question for you.
Ooh.
Why do they have, in your mind, why do they have to be two different people?
I feel like sometimes, a lot of times, I'm in a different space when I write and when I perform. I feel like as a poet, I started out writing about trauma. Like, I find myself feeling like a trauma poet because I can't write about anything else. And so for me to be in a space to write or perform my poetry, I have to be a completely different person. I have to put myself in completely different shoes, because outside of my trauma, I'm a completely different person. I'm not my trauma. And so when I write about it or when I perform it, I have to separate the two because I am not my trauma.
You know why you got to be careful with that? I know exactly what you mean, but this is why you got to be careful with that. Because all I've done for the past, I kind of feel like I branded my work off of my pain and struggle. So once I placed myself in a situation in life that was a lot more peaceful, I realized that I don't really know how to write happy poems or funny poems. Like, I don't. So I think the key is understanding that all that trauma that you got, that you write about, that's definitely you, but you're showcasing it and making it beautiful the way Anaya does it. It doesn't mean you're a different person. It just means you already know how to tap into the trauma because it's something that motivates your pen. You know what I mean? Like, you know how to do that. So I think the key is start challenging yourself to write about other things. You know, you write about trauma good. I write about pain good. You know what I mean? Like, I can make pain sound beautiful. You make trauma sound amazing. What else can you write about? You know what I mean? Like, what else? And that's where the challenge comes in.
That's
For writers,
weird.
right?
It's funny that you say that. And I'm literally gonna ask you about how it's been for you. But for me, I have not. It's weird because I have not been able to write at all since the quarantine happened. And it was like I was putting myself in a space because, like, I wasn't experiencing anything bad, so I had nothing to write about.
So nothing to write about. So you're sitting there like,
yeah, like, what do I do? And I'm on like this path. Now I'm really like on my path to self-healing. Like, I'm really manifesting in it. So I literally can't write.
okay, you can't write, or you don't like what you're writing?
Jeez.
You don't like what you're writing, but that's part of the process, though. Remember that, like, all you're not. If you don't know how to write funny poems, you're gonna write a bunch of whack ass. Like, for me, for instance, I have to have a funny poem. I don't have any funny poems, and I like to think that I'm funny to me, so I gotta write a funny poem. But they're gonna be whack. You know what I mean? They're gonna be probably bad at first. I'm probably gonna write like 5 funny poems that aren't funny, that I'm not gonna do to anybody. I'm not gonna share with anybody. But that's part of getting better, right? So take the trauma. Know you got trauma down. So now start with trauma and add something into it. Like, think about what you've been doing during this quarantine. You know what I mean? Like, write in a piece. It's okay to write and be happy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm learning that. It's okay to write and smile at night. Like, remember that. So you're not a different person. You're just very much in tune with that trauma side.
Okay.
So now you just got to start practicing and working on other topics to write about. And the more you write about them, the easier they'll get. I promise you, they will.
Thank you, sir. So how has it been for you? How has writing been during this time for you? Has it been more or less? What's that looking like?
At first, I wasn't writing anything, but I don't write every day anyways.
Right.
I don't write every day. I learned like 2 years ago, I had what I thought was writer's block, which I don't believe in. I just think we don't like what we write, so we call it writer's block. But you can literally write something every day if you wanted to. I had what I thought was writer's block, and a friend of mine, Dopo, you know Jasmine Mans?
Yeah.
Jasmine told me, she was like, you need to learn how to be patient and be kind to yourself during the downtime, because sometimes I stress out. I feel like my biggest fear is like losing this gift. That is my biggest fear. My biggest fear is one day sitting down and just not having it. So sometimes when I go really long periods without writing something that I like, I get nervous. And sometimes I sit down in my notebook and I force something because I feel like I gotta write something that feels good to me, or otherwise I may be losing it. And every time I'm reminded to just be still, patient, and something comes. So I think writing is like sifting for gold. You got a bunch of dirt and you got to sift through the dirt to find that one gold nugget that may be a poem that you share, but it doesn't mean all the dirt is worthless. It's part of the process. You know what I mean? It's part of your foundation. So
it's crazy how I can just ask you questions and you speak poems, and it's just crazy. Like the way that you like speak is just like, you don't just answer simply. It's just always like art in it. That's so cool.
I think, well, thank you. I think we all do that though. You know what I mean? Like I write how I talk. So that's one thing. Like,
okay.
And I feel like you do too. I feel like you write how you speak. You have a good vocabulary. So just really with that being two different people, you're just using one part of Anaya right there with the trauma. You got a funny Anaya. You got an attitude Anaya. You got a don't bother me right now. And you got all these different versions. You just got to take time to find them with your pen.
Yeah, I do.
So write a bunch of garbage. For the next week, write a bunch of garbage. Just a bunch of stuff. I don't want to call it garbage. Like I don't mean garbage like that.
No, I get you.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just sift the dirt. Like get the dirt. Get a handful of dirt and just start sifting. And don't worry about it not sounding good. Don't worry about I'm not used to being funny, or I'm not used to writing about trauma. Just write. And share it with your mentors, and because some really dope poets. Share it with them and they'll help you.
That's dope. Okay, fine. Then first of all, you've been doing these challenges I see, and I've been trying to do them, and then I've been going through this time where I just feel like, okay, you can write. But you've been doing these challenges. So here's a challenge that you can start on your page, is to write a funny poem, or write a poem that you feel like you can't write. And that's the challenge. And you have to do the funny poem as the starter.
You put this challenge. Okay, I'll do it.
You got to do it.
This is going to be hard because it's not going to be funny.
I'm going to laugh just because it'll be funny.
Okay, as long as you laugh, I'm going to write it. As long as you laugh, I'm going to write it. I got it. How much time we got? You know what? No, this is going to be a mutual challenge right here. I'm about to try to write a funny poem, and you need to pick what topic you going to write about.
Love. I'm going to write a love poem.
Is that easy?
Absolutely not.
Okay. How much time do we have?
We have a week.
Okay. So from today.
Okay.
Next Friday.
All right. Then we got to post it at the same time. We're going to post it at what time? You're going to post it at 6 p.m. Pacific time.
Okay. We could do that.
That gives me at 9. Yeah. And we'll post it that day. And that'll be the first step into tapping into those other parts of ourselves that we can't write about.
Right. Let's do it. I'm down.
Dope.
I'm down.
All right. So let's move on. I remember, okay, you told me that your daughter name is Anaya, and that's dope. Obviously, she's the best person in the world because all Anayas are.
Right.
How does she and your other kids and your other sons as well, how do they feel about your poetry? Do they like poetry? Do they want to write? How does that... They see it so much, hear it so much.
That's all they see. All they see is me talking to myself all day, saying poems. I practice all the time, all day, so they'll know when I'm practicing. Like they'll walk up to me and can look in my face and tell in my head I'm going through a poem, and just turn around and walk away. My daughter's really, Anaya's super artistic. She's she can draw, she can paint, she can color, she likes to write. So I think she has the art bug. The boys do not. It's just not their thing. But I think the cool thing is I've always brought them on stage ever since they were babies. Because I'm big on public speaking, obviously, with forensics. You know how that goes.
Yeah, definitely.
They get to meet cool people. They get to travel. So even though they're not desiring to be poets, I think there's still benefits from them being around it. You know, they meet a lot of amazing people. If Anaya was here, she was supposed to be here right now, but if she was, I'd bring her in and introduce you because you guys got to meet each other.
Oh, you sent me the video of her. I was like, she is so me. I hated, like, as a kid, like, I hated when my parents brought me in the camera. Like, leave me alone.
Yep.
Like, I don't know this person. You
She
want
don't
to tell
like
me
it.
that we got the same name. Like, I don't
Yep.
care.
She don't like it.
So that's why as soon as I saw the video, I was like, it is okay. I understand. I felt her pain. So it was super.
You guys are gonna
She
be
seems
buddies.
chill. Oh,
Yeah, she was cool, but yeah, they appreciate it, but you know, it is no big deal to them. They're not trying to be a poet.
That's understandable. So Oakland, I love Oakland. I feel like Oakland has a lot of culture. Just it's super dope. I feel like it's it has parts like West Coast Baltimore for me. There's a lot of stuff that the two places have in common. What's the poetry scene like in Oakland?
My opinion, dry. Just bone. There are two open mics in Oakland that go on that I frequent. One by Mr. Fab. He has one, Dope Era. And there's another one that was happening on Wednesdays at a spot called Liege. I don't think and I ran an open mic for like 6.5 years. The poetry scene is dry to me, but I mean, there's nothing you know, you really can't do anything about it. I mean, that's just my opinion. It's dry. You know,
it is what it is. This is like,
yeah, it's not really too much
that's
inside.
understood. What's your favorite? What was one of your favorite performances? What did that look like?
Verse in the Flow when I did the system. Not the one that they put on TV because that was a second take.
Oh.
The first take was way better, but at the end of it, Omari sent. There were some dancers who were a part of the show, and one dude was pop locking. And for some reason, Omari Harvard, he thought, I don't know, he's just off the cuff while I was performing. I was killing that. He thought it would be a good idea to tell the dancer to go up and start pop locking next to me while I was doing my poem. And so I finished the poem, but it messed everything up. So they made me record it again. But that first time I did the system on Verse in the Flow that didn't air the performance, the first take, it was literally an out-of-body experience. Like it was an out-of-body experience. You ever performed and feel like you were watching yourself perform?
Yes.
It was one of those. It was like I'm never gonna get to recreate it again. Like I knew it. So when I had to do it over the second time, I did well, but it wasn't like the first time. So you know.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I love those feelings. For me, that was what was that? I did a big it was the biggest performance I ever did, 3,000 people. And it was the Opioid Awareness Summit, and so many people were there. Melania Trump was there, a lot of city officials, and I did it. And I did the poem was called Substance Abuse, and it was about my struggles with my grandmother's substance abuse, and I did it, and the spotlight was on me, and the students, there were kids up front who were like literally crying, and there were people who came up to me and they were just like, you did so good, like I can't believe, like you changed my life, da 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 da. And I did not know I had the ability to do that, and it shocked me. And then those same people who were there, like the few different people, I would see them on the street, and they would point at me and they're like, oh my God, I know you, I've seen you before, you did that performance, you're so cool. And I'm just like, and then they'll be like, poetic nonsense. And I'm like, oh my God, like, that's crazy.
Like, y'all know who I am.
Like, oh my God, like, I'm literally like, nobody stop. And I cried, and I was just like, bro, like, this is so crazy. Like, I couldn't imagine, like, ever being able to do that at this age, this young, this early in the game. And so I was just like, whoa, that's so dope. And
yeah, it's power.
Yeah.
It's power right there. When you got it, you got it. It's just a matter of what you do with it, you know?
Yeah.
So you just gotta, you know, I said just stay humble. Just stay humble. You know, sometimes I think we as poets can, you know, fill a poem or fill ourselves a little much sometimes.
Yeah.
But with the notoriety and the attention that you'll receive, just remember to stay humble about it. It'll come and go in waves. You know, 1 week you'll be hot, 1 week nobody wants to hear your poems.
Yeah.
And so if you rely on the fact that, you know, people want to hear your poems, it's going to kind of mess you up. Like the system hella messed me up for like 1.5 years. Because it went viral and I wasn't ready for that. I got on TV a bunch of times as a result of it. And then I thought all my work had to be just as good as the system. And that's just not realistic. So I found myself scrapping a lot of work. I found myself, doubting my ability or questioning if I can recreate another system. But I had to learn that, a poem has its own life, its own personality, so just move on to the next one and try not to compare.
What's a favorite lesson or something that your poetry has taught you about yourself, or what have you learned about yourself through your poetry?
That I'm really good at hiding behind my words. I'm really, 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 really good at hiding behind my words. And what I mean is that I used to think that poetry is my therapy. I used to think that I was like healing myself by writing and talking about it. But I realized that all I was doing was really like, by me writing and sharing my experiences, it's basically like me ripping off a Band-Aid, but I'm not treating the wound. So I can't just get on stage and rely on the applause to treat the wound. Being on stage is ripping off the Band-Aid. So now when I get off stage, what I really got to do is medicate, treat, stitch up, whatever. And I realized through my poetry that actually, I'm a little too hard on myself sometimes. Let me not say that I'm really good at hiding behind my words, just that I chose to use poetry as my therapy and didn't go any further. So now I've learned that I got to go a lot deeper than just the pages. I got to, do some work that I don't talk about online. You know what I mean? That I'm not broadcasting. I'm not doing no live feed about, but just do some real work.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think me and my friends today, we're all together, we're all poets. And we were talking about, we have to, say what we mean in our poems and do what we mean in our poems. And a lot of times I find myself writing about things that I have no business writing about or no experience in. Like there was a time, and I won't say that I don't have the ability to write a love poem. I will say that I don't have the ability to write an authentic love poem. And so I wrote a love poem, and I knew nothing about it. I knew nothing about the self-love that I was talking about. I knew nothing about any of that, but I wrote about it because I wanted to know about it or I wanted to feel it. And so for me, I think I have a hard time of writing the things that I know instead of the things that I want to know, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. There's a couple poems of mine you've heard, and I didn't have any business writing the poems from like necessarily a genuine personal feeling perspective, but it was more so like a desire of how I wanted to feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I can totally relate to that. Sometimes you just write stuff because you want to get there, and you can write in the present tense like you are there because it just makes you feel better about where you're really at.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard. But I think that's the beauty of what we do, though. We can write our future. We can write ourselves into our future, literally. We can.
Yeah. Definitely. I think a lot of like those poems just feel like manifestation. Like if I say it, I like the I be a da 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 da. Like I feel like I can get there if I say it enough. And so maybe that's.
And look what's happening though.
Yeah.
Look what's happening from 14 to now, or 7th grade now. Like look what's happening. Like you've accomplished a lot of things.
I think it's crazy, and this will sound really weird. Like I don't know. I never had a goal with my poetry. I never had a where I want to be, if that makes sense. Like
me neither.
But I did know one thing. I knew two things. I said I know I want to write poetry, and I know I want to meet Prentice Powell. And I said I can meet Prentice Powell. Then everything that I do from there is just because I really want to do it. I desire it. But the Prentice Powell, like that's the goal. And once everything from
that's
there
so awesome.
Bonus. And so when you emailed me back, I was like, this is it. This is the thing. And then I don't think I emailed you for like another year or two, and then I wrote that poem that I sent you. And wow, that poem.
It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a minute, but all that's gonna come. You're gonna have a new goal that you want to accomplish because your two goals that you accomplished, you already checked them off. So you can't say anything now is whatever. No, you just now got started and you already accomplished your two. So you need to add more. You know what I mean? Like I can't be like, I've always wanted to perform on TV. And then I perform on TV and I'm like, okay. Okay, now I'll be honest with you. Once I actually, I met Nas, got introduced to him. He knows who I am. He's my idol. Once I write with him, then I'm gonna really be like, I'm gonna be like,
I was like, the day that like Prentice, I get older and Prentice is like, all right, tonight, let's just write a group piece, let's do it, and I'm just gonna be like,
and look, we got 7 days, and we gonna make it happen. No. You said group piece. We're gonna write the individual one.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna think of a topic, and then we're gonna write a group piece.
Oh, this is
Let's do it.
This is dope. Oh, Mr. K, you commented. I remember that day I showed the video in class. She was hooked, game changer, life changer, literally. Like,
thank you, Mr. K.
I tell you, every time I do something successful, lie to you not. Every time I do something successful, I text Mr. K and I'm like, literally, you and Prentice, y'all are the reason that I'm here. And he'll just like, no, you did it on your own. I promise you, every single time that this man has congratulated me, down to my 5th grade graduation, I said that you and him were just like the reason. And so it's super cool. It's super cool to still be in contact with people like you and Mr. K. I feel like you guys are like, there are people who do it just to get a check, and then there are people who do it genuine.
Love it, yeah.
Past what the job description is, and you guys are it. And so
well, thank you.
All of the success that I have now, like the stuff that I'm, even in my activism, like all of the stuff that I do now, all of my positions, everything, it came from poetry. It started from there. And so like I'm always grateful. So enough of that mushy stuff. What's your favorite poem that you've written?
It was The System, but I wrote something recently. I wrote something that I just really liked because it was on my mind. There was a poet that I battled a couple of weeks ago on our Introverse Live, and he called me a house nigga. He had called me a house nigga on set at Versus and Flow. And when he did it, I didn't know how to respond, and I had to do something, so I walked out of the room. But I always felt super conflicted about it. I had told a couple of my friends, I always felt it just made me feel away because it was another black man calling me a house nigga. So
and during the time, yeah,
we did we started a new series online, Introverse Live, and we do these one-on-one battles. And he was the person I battled, so I happened to be able to write a poem in response. And I did it, and it felt really, really good to talk to him directly and finally address 6.5 years later how he made me feel.
Wow, that's closure at its finest.
It was. A lot of people were mad and upset, but I don't write for anybody else, and I think that's, if you know why you write, it makes it easier to keep doing this. But I think that may be my favorite poem, not because it's my best poem, but just because how I felt writing it and the feeling of literally getting to see him and tell him, like, to respond. Yeah. It felt good. And I'm glad I didn't go an ignorant way about it. I'm glad I didn't, over the years, talk mess about him. And look what God did. God aligned it for me to be able to say what I had to say 6 years later.
Full circle. That's dope. That's dope. Is there a poem that you've written that you just wish you didn't write?
Oh yeah, Good Father. Yeah, I hate the fact that I wish I didn't have to write it. I wish it wasn't a reality. That's what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I wish it wasn't my life. If there was any poem that I just wish I never wrote, I wish it was that one, because it's a horrible circumstance to be in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, that's dope.
Yeah.
Is there a poem that another poet has written that you wish you wrote?
Oh, there's a million poems. How much time you got?
Man, I wrote that one. That was mine. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a million poems. I was the most recent poem I wish I wrote. What's the most recent? The most recent poem I wish I wrote was done by Slanson Hughes.
Wow.
It was like he got on he was on our marathon. We did our blackout marathon, and he did that poem. And he makes I don't know the title of it, but he references, I wrote this poem already.
Yes. Yes.
Look, I listened to that poem, and I've never met him personally. But I listened to it a couple of days later. I had to write him and be like, yo, bro, like I need to pick your brain, man. I love your poems and all that. But that was the most recent poem I remember saying, like, yo, I really wish I wrote that poem.
He's a legend, man. I love him
Yeah.
so much. He's such a great
And
person.
and it's dope because now we get to just reach out to people we admire. You know what I mean? We get to just connect with people, and you know, if they're cool, they give you energy and game and wisdom back, and that's how it goes. Like what we're doing right now is what I do all the time with like Fiveology when it comes to poetry. We challenge each other. You know what I mean? So all you do is get your circle of people together that you know who do the same thing you do, and then you guys just bounce ideas, do little challenges. All of it's gonna make you better.
It's so simple. I remember when I first met like Slangston and Black Chakra, and when I met Chakra, it was just like he was just so like he was like, "Why are you looking at me like that? Like I'm not like just say hi, like I'm chill, like it's whatever."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And from there he was like, "Okay, let me mentor you," and I'm like, "Okay." And it was so simple, like reaching out to like people that you like admire is simple. We just make it so hard because we idolize them so much and set them on this pedestal that we make them too far out of our reach. So it's like it's so cool.
It's amazing how it works, and that's what we're supposed to do.
You hosted our semi bout at NPS in 2015, and we built for a sec outside, but my locks were shorter than.
Oh man, look, I'm over here thinking I never met the brother. We chopping. His locks were shorter. My bad, bro. Now I feel like an idiot because I did, and I felt like I didn't. But anyways, man, we got to connect on a deeper level. Slangston, we definitely do, brother. I'm definitely gonna tap in with you. But yeah, I feel like this is like the poetry community is too small for us not to just all be sharing the same stuff and working together. You know what I mean? Like we're not rappers. You know, there's no heavy competition here. We all have a place and a lane. I feel like the more we work together, the more we'll accomplish. So I feel like these type of things are necessary. We should be doing this on a regular.
Definitely. I think that should also be like a thing that we do, just like not the open mics, not the sharing, not the trauma bonding, but just the actual bonding, the connection between. Definitely, I feel like there's a big disconnect between the adult world and the teen world.
Do you?
Youth world. I do. I feel like other than the connection that we have with the people in our city, like outside of that, like on my knowledge, I don't know many teens and adults that are doing the things that you and I do. I mean, I don't think there's like a story that's like ours, but like on that level of like connection. And I feel like there should be times where like adult poets that are in the slam world, like you, like Black Chakra, Rudy, even Portia O, Crystal, all of them, like just the idea of like us having like a talk where the teen poets talk to the adult poets, we share ideas, we just share like experience. I feel like the like you said, it's too small for all of us not to be connecting on that level, and having those mentors and those people to, you know, help us craft our art would be dope.
Yeah, I agree. I know I wish a lot of the artists that I admire that they're not reachable, that I can't, you know, get in actual contact with. I wish a lot of times, like I'm dying for Black Thought, Nas, Royce the 5'9", whose lives I've been watching because he talks a lot about writing in a lot of his lives. So does Lupe Fiasco, which is really, really dope. I wish my favorite MCs would like put out something just talking about their writing process. Like just talk about it. Like I would love to know how Black Thought came up with that freestyle he did on Funk Flex for 10 minutes. I would love to know just like his thought process behind it. So I think it's necessary that you know, us older poets make sure that we're doing the things we wish some of our older generation would have did or did do with us. So we just got to keep the momentum going, and you're doing a great job by holding us accountable. Say it. You got to tell us that. You know what I mean? Because some of us don't think about it.
Yeah, I definitely that's cool though. I think it can be done. It's reachable. It's just the matter of, you know, us putting the word out. I don't have that big following platform as large as you guys do, so
it takes time.
Do the work.
It'll get there. Just keep writing poems. That's all I did.
Yeah, definitely. So I think I had a question specifically. What is your process?
Okay, so now I work on probably like 3 to 4 poems at a time because my train of thought isn't just I'm not, I can't focus that well on one topic unless it's like in me in the moment. So like the house nigga poem, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I found out I was battling dude, that's the first thing that came to mind. And I got 6.5 years of stuff that I may have thought about, so it was easy to come out. But now I'll write about, like 4 different things. That way I have a couple of lines that come up. I put that here. I got a couple of lines. I put that here. And I'm able to put my thoughts somewhere rather than being like, oh, I have these ideas, but that's not the poem I'm working on right now. So what do I do with it? I just write it down and save it for later. So I literally have, just like pages where they're just 4 or 5 lines that have no connection to the ones above or under it. But at some point in time, sometimes I can take and I can look at a poem and be like, you know what, this is missing something to me. And then go to that section and be like, you know what? Boom. And put that there and then make something around and flip the word. And yeah, so my process it's all over the place and I like it. It seems organized. It's organized chaos.
Organized chaos, a beautiful tragedy, if you will.
Yes. Oh, look at what you're doing. Look what you're doing.
The memory, man. What was writing that poem like, actually? Because that was Life's Contradictions, right?
Yeah. I was dead broke. My car had broke down. I just did Arsenio Hall show. I did what I do? I did Good Father. Yeah, that was after I did Good Father. I did Good Father on Arsenio Hall show. I went back to the fancy hotel. Um, went to sleep, woke up at like 5 in the morning because I had to go to work in the morning. And so I had to catch an early flight out of LA back to Northern California. And I was broke, so I had to walk from the airport to this super far bus station. And my bags from the show, I had to carry to work with me because I didn't have time to go home. So I was just thinking about all the contradictory things or the hypocritical things about me being on TV, but me being so damn broke. You know what I mean? Like I just
Real TLC.
I did an Arsenio Hall show, but I'm too broke to catch a Uber to work on time. You know what I mean? And that check from Arsenio I wasn't getting for a couple of weeks. So I was thinking about all the hypocritical or contradictory things in my life at the time. So I just started writing while I was walking to work. I started writing that poem just on like things that I felt made sense but made no sense.
Wow, that first line, man. I was just like, sir, okay, we understand. And then, yeah, that sounds like exhausting though. So, what's it like? Just what did you think that poetry was going to be a thing you could like capitalize off of? Was that the idea, and then it hit you, or what was that like?
Um
Oh my God, Chief the Poet! Ah, you're so dope. Hi.
Yeah, Chief, I hit you. I hit you earlier today. That's in my call log. My bad not hitting you the other day. But yeah, Chief's my man. Um Once things just started happening, honestly, I kind of got forced into really like hella stuff happened hella quick and I wasn't ready or prepared. So I still just kind of took it as a hobby, but I felt like God was throwing opportunities and blessings at me through poetry. Like he never stopped. Like he just never, even when I didn't want to write, there was some big moment or opportunity I got that totally threw me back into writing, when I tried to stop. So I don't know if it's necessarily a moment that had me like, yeah, I can capitalize off this other than just like the opportunities. It was too many things, it was too many things, too many blessings coming my way for me to be like, this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely get that. Yeah,
Yeah.
he is pretty cool, pretty dope. So wow, that's crazy. I don't know. It's just
What's
crazy.
your process?
What's my process? Things happen. I ignore them for a few months or years, and then I think of a line, and I'm like, wow. Sometimes like it hits me, the idea or whatever comes, and a line will come, and I'm like, wow, sounds pretty dope. Let's write about it. And then I just throw myself back into the process. Specifically, I'll talk about the one that you gave me some tips on. I think that was for all the things I couldn't. Ooh, can you hear me now?
Stage. Yeah, you were on a
Yeah.
small stage when you did it.
Yes. Yes. So, that process, I had just had a bad breakup, terrible. And I lived with her or whatever. And it was like I was going through this process of like, I don't know what to do. Like, I miss you, da 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 da. Like, what do I do? And I was like, she'll be at the open mic. Let's write a poem. And it was so like, I knew one, I needed to write it because it was too much emotion clogged up inside of me that I literally could not eat. I couldn't do anything. So I needed to write it. And I wrote like mine about like things that happened. Like, for example, there was like in office talks have never been my strong suit because we had a talk in the office the day before. And so I just wrote everything I felt.
I can't hear you. You sound muffled.
Can you hear me now?
I got you. Yep.
Yeah. So like I wrote it, everything I felt, and then I got on stage the next day, and she was there in the back with her new girlfriend, and I did it, and I cried, and I was just like, wow, like that's probably the poem that I wish I didn't have to write, or the poem I wish I never wrote, because it was just hard to feel it and write about it, and then perform it and then write about it, and that's like that moment for me was like, wow, like I really bare my soul on this stage for some claps and validation, man. And that's why I definitely can see what you say about like the idea of slam and how slam is like this weird phenomenon of like, I'm here because I want people to validate me on these scores that I felt that this poem was good enough anyway. So I'm going through that process too.
And I don't think everybody looks at slam that way. I just think the way it's designed, it's easier to get sucked into the validation that comes with it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I would never say that, you know, everybody who participates in slam is looking for validation like I was, and it just happened to be how I got introduced to spoken word poetry. But it definitely I don't, you know you. I don't know if you wrote it for applause and claps or if you wrote it because you knew that it was going to be there. And for me, the stage is a safe space to say whatever I want, however I want, to whoever I want. You know what I mean? So you can't talk back to me when I'm on stage. You can't argue with me when I'm on stage. Like, it's just me. You know, you're on my island and you don't get to talk. You know, you got a boat, right? Like, we're on the island and you're out like 50 feet in the water on a boat with no paddles. So all you have to do is watch. And you can't come in closer unless I draw you in. So I feel like we get on stage and we share these things because they're on our minds. You know, whenever they come, 2 years, 3 years, it don't matter.
Yeah.
It's our story.
I understand. Favorite fiveology piece?
Favorite fiveology piece?
Yeah.
I like Dear God. I've always liked Dear God. We wrote that so yeah, we wrote that so seamless. Like, we wrote that, but there's some new work that's going to be coming that's crazy.
Biology is coming back. That was the next question I was going to ask.
Yeah. Oh, my phone's ringing. No, wait, what's happening? Cancel, decline. My phone's ringing. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, my sound's messed up now.
The sound's messed up?
Yeah, I can't hear you. Whenever I get a phone call, whenever I'm on live, it messes up the sound. Okay, talk real quick.
I am talking. You want to leave and come back? LOL.
Yeah, let's do it right now, though. I want to keep having this conversation.
All right, real quick.
Okay, so I'm gonna log out.
All right. Wow, you guys, I have 1 minute and 46 seconds left with Prentice. How are you guys feeling? Everyone's good? Has everyone eaten today? Drink water. Ooh. I might have to start another one. Wow. Wow, that's crazy though.
All right, so we probably got like a minute left.
A minute and 15. Go.
Okay, so you're amazing. You're awesome. Shout out to all the poets in Baltimore. Shout out to every single one of y'all. You are one of my favorite people ever. So you better always write.
Of course.
Always, 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 always. Thank you to all your mentors. Thank you to anybody tuning in and listening. And just anybody watching, just please know this is how we support each other as Black people. I think more important than just poets, like me being a Black man and you being a young Black woman, it's important that we have conversations and dialogue about things other than dying. You know what I mean? Like we need to speak life into each other. So, yeah, that's it.
Oh, that was super dope. 30 seconds left. You know how I feel about you. You're my idol. You're literally one of my top 5 people in the world. So it's super dope talking to you. This conversation was literally a dream come true. Text me after this. Just
I will.
ask you a couple questions and see some stuff.